know, panel might be an overstatement. I want to talk about distributed data. I want to talk about an initiative called Solid that John and I are working on. I want to talk about the promise of the web and our data and what's not happening and what could happen. Because right now, our data is controlled by the companies that collect it. Right? Think about social media companies or any kind of quantified self company, right? I wear an Aura, and there's a lot of data generated, and it's not owned by me. I can look at it, but it really isn't my data. Or you think of healthcare companies or travel companies or any IoT device you have. Right? I mean, the companies that own those devices, in a sense, control our freedom by controlling access to that data. Right? They decide how and when it's used, how long it's saved, when it's deleted. They're in charge of the security of that data. If I want to move the data or use it, I need their permission. And I can't connect devices together from different companies unless they agree to it in their business agreements. Right? They're the ones who are deciding. And this is true, right, even here, right, even in the world of GDPR. Because GDPR is really just about how data is collected and used. It's not about who owns it. I mean, I think of GDPR as something that helped with the pain rather than treated the actual problem. Right? It speaks of transparency. It actually does speak of control, but largely it's illusionary. And it leaves the burden on us to figure out, how to get rights and how to make decisions. I mean, the data really isn't ours. So think about my Aura. My only option is to quit, right? To delete the data. And in a sense, that's unfair. I mean, digital suicide feels like not enough. And, I might decide not to share it, but I might decide to take this ring off and not share my data with the company. But once I put it on, I am forced to trust the company, Aura in this case, and I know nothing about them, to treat it properly, to secure it. And I have no way to verify what they're doing. It's a really strange way to work. And I guess more importantly, I can't use the data like I want. Right? It's locked away. It's not interoperable. And to me, that is one of the promises of the web we have not fulfilled, is that making data interoperable. And then it means a bunch of things. When our data is not interoperable, we have to repeatedly digitize it. So, I don't know, think about my personal data. When I'm applying for a mortgage or a job or I'm buying a new house next month and I have to enter my data again and again and again because all of the sites, all the applications, all the systems are not interoperable. And it is a royal pain. And they're also verifying the data repeatedly again and again and again. And if it's out of date, once I move, I'm going to enter that change of address again and again and again because nothing is interoperable. And every time I enter that data, here, there, somewhere else, it's treated separately. There's different privacy rules. And honestly, at the end of this process, I am not going to remember who I shared my data with. It'll be unable to hold them accountable. Interoperability also makes systems generative. Right? And by generative, I mean allows for new ideas, new uses, new applications, innovation, creativity. The notion that you could connect data to each other. Right? Or, can I connect my location data from my phone with my heart rate data from this thing? Because that might be interesting. Or the thermostat data from my house with my electricity usage data and, I don't know, my body temperature. I'm making this stuff up. But there's going to be interesting things you can do if you could connect different streams of data. Right? That interoperability is really important. And it's not only that we just can't use our data in these ways, yet we don't have a way to trust how we collect and link our data. Right? And I just see this world of applications we can't even think about. Right? Interoperability is about choice, and that allows for innovations of how we can distribute and use our data. So I want to talk about, and I'm talking a lot here. You okay with this? All right. I want to talk about distributed data for a minute. So distributed data has nothing to do with blockchain, nothing to do with cryptocurrency. It's about individual ownership and control. So think about email. Email is distributed data. Right? You can have any email reader you want, any company you want. You interoperate with every other email reader, every other company. Email is distributed. The web is distributed. You can use any web browser to visit any website. Blogs, RSS readers. Right? Lots of companies, lots of products, lots of providers. Everybody interoperates. This is fundamentally different than social media. Right? Facebook is monolithic. Twitter is monolithic. Reddit, any of these sites are their own silos. Facebook Messenger does not interoperate with WhatsApp, even though it's the same company. And basically, big companies don't like the idea of distributed data. I mean, they like these silos because distributed data, they lose lock-in. And lock-in is an important concept. I think everyone needs to understand, lock-in is about keeping you on a platform with a product, with a company. Lock-in is how companies increase switching costs and strengthen their monopolies. And so think about it. The cost to switch from a Kindle to a Nook is not the cost of the reader. It's all the books you bought that are locked into Kindle. Same thing if you have a gaming platform, a Nintendo versus something else. Or your music. Right? You're on Apple Music. All your music is bought, and it's in Apple Music. You switch to Spotify, you've got to rebuy your music. I mean, all of that is about lock-in. Distributed systems naturally break tech monopolies. If you can take your data with you, right, if you owned it in the first place, then moving it from one product or service to another is easy. Right? And so a distributed data system is one that puts you puts data under your control. And distributed is important. It's distributed in the sense that everyone's data is given to them. There's still centralizations. I mean, think of email. A lot of us use Gmail. A lot of us use Apple Mail. Right? There are centralized email providers, but we can pick and we can move. Right? So done right, we're trying to balance the best of this distributed nature of ownership versus the centralization of letting someone take care of it that you trust. So this brings us to Solid. Solid is a system for distributed data. It's an open standard. The basic idea is you have a personal data store. It's called a pod. Think of it as your own personal cloud storage, kind of like a Dropbox but better. And the idea is you give different applications, organizations, IoT devices, people, the ability to read, write, and edit, delete selectively into your pod, as granular as you want. Right? I can give this device the right to write data about me, my biology, my physiology, into the pod, and maybe read the history. I could give my medical application the right to read what this device produces. I can give an application that hasn't been invented yet the right to read data from this, data from my phone about my location, and something else, and then do some synthesis. I mean, that's the basic idea. Right? Instead of entering the data again and again, I can give, remember I'm buying a house, the mortgage company, which is really the bank, the attorneys, the insurance company, everybody else, the right to read my address, and then when it changes, they automatically know. Right? So the idea of Solid is we're going to upgrade the web, which is really about distributed pages for a standard way for apps to have distributed data. It separates the data from the application in a way that puts us under control. Again, this is an open standard, W3C. It's not connected to any company. We both represent Inrupt, which is a company that is commercializing. I mean, I think of us as sort of the Red Hat of Solid. And that's the basic idea. So, all right, I got three more things. I give three reasons why I think this is a really important vision. This is a technology that's developed to suit the way humans actually live rather than the other way around. Right? It gives people control and visibility over themselves, their choices as expressed in their data. Right? It shifts authorization from the data collector to the data owner. So the collectors only get basically what I let them get. And this is actually, when we move to IoT, it's going to be hard to deal with permissions. On a screen, I can. I have to give permissions on this all the time. Often I do it quickly and perfunctory, but I actually have to do it. You walk by an IoT sensor, there's going to be no screen to query, do you consent? So you're going to need a different paradigm to do that. The second reason, again, is the Internet of Things. Right? 5G, you know this, is not about you watching Netflix faster. Right? 5G is about things talking to other things behind our back. The 5G Internet is the Internet of Things communicating. And IoT is going to need thing-to-thing authentication. And we have no good way of doing that. And this is a way of doing that. And the third reason is that even though companies don't realize it, this is actually what they want. Right? Companies really don't want. Our data is dangerous. Our data can be stolen. There are massive fines. Right? I'm staying at a hotel here. They have all my data. They don't want my data. They want access to it as long as I'm staying in the hotel. And when I leave, they kind of want a little bit wash their hands of it. Right? It's expensive. It's a liability. Right? When I leave the hotel, I'm going to take my dirty clothes with me. I kind of should take my data too. All right. How'd that go?
Yeah, I think it went really well. I enjoyed it. So I get 5 minutes to tell you what's been going on for 5 years, which I can't possibly do justice to. So let me see if I can hit the most important bits. Sir Tim Berners-Lee and I started the company 5 years ago to take the promise of Solid that Bruce describes, and I'm thrilled he's on the team, take the promise that Bruce describes and put it into practice. And we haven't exactly been in stealth per se, but this is the first time, you might have gathered, this is the first time we're really talking publicly about what we're doing and who we're doing it with. So let me see if I can fast forward through 5 years for you. So we set off to build an enterprise-grade version of the open source stuff, which we still support. And we said we would make it available to big organizations. Fast forward 5 years, we've just released version 2 last week. And it's version 2 because version 1 went to some governments around the world and some big corporations, and together we moved to a point where version 2 was, if you will, the full production release of the product. Fully functional, scalable, and I mean scalable in terms of tens of millions of users. And if I give you some examples of the kind of things that folks are using the technology for, I won't dwell on the countries, largely because I think the audience here today is not government-based. If you are, please see me after this, and we can fill you in more on the government stuff. But suffice to say, governments around Europe now are rolling it out for the benefit of their citizens. They see this technology as a way to have a single relationship with the citizens where all government services can be provisioned against the same infrastructure. No more back-end silos with multiple instances of the knowledge of your citizens. Now one safe and secure way to roll out at massive scale a way to engage with citizens through all of their life events. And so we've got examples of that in the UK, Sweden, Slovakia, some Asian countries we haven't gone public on yet. I guess the poster child country is Flanders government in Belgium. Every baby's going to get it. We've stood up the infrastructure. We're beginning to roll it out. It's the way every citizen will be served every public service. And we're excited about that because we believe other countries are going to follow suit. The only reason that the exposure is limited today, we just haven't had any marketing. Actually, our first sales guy is sitting down here somewhere. So to say we've been in pseudo-stealth, if you like, now we're beginning to emerge and tell the world about what's going on. Just switching gears, corporations, you'll see some of them have gone public. BBC's gone public, NatWest has gone public, Allstate Insurance in the US has gone public, to declare that they intend to use this for the benefit of their consumers. We've got others in telecommunications, finance, retail. Actually, Accenture have also gone public with this, are now an investor in the business. We are now going to move. I mean, the website, I will tell you this. Please don't go to the website and expect to learn much about us. Through the balance of this year, we'll do that which one normally does to help educate and promote ourselves in market. But suffice to say, to this point, we've been too darn busy to do it. Now we're emerging out of that mode, and we are very excited about the opportunity to talk to anybody who finds this technology useful. And I think that's everybody, actually. If you've got data in any kind of silos, and you want to figure out a way of unlocking the value of that data in a way that unleashes tons of value. I mean, it's quite exciting when we sit down and architect the solutions with customers. It takes a switch, actually, a little like the red pill, blue pill scenario. It takes a switch to see how you can utilize the data you've got in a way that breaks all the rules and is so innovative. And it's practical. It's hugely practical. So that was all I intended to say.
All right. We're almost out of time. I went in with one story. So I flew here. I landed here this morning. So I'm awake. Give it to me. And over the course of getting the plane ticket and such, I had to upload a photograph of my vaccine card. I had to scan my passport for somebody else. I'm typing in my credentials for the hotel. I mean, there's a lot of times isn't this kind of a dumb way to do document authentication? A photograph of my vaccine card? This is the best we can do? This is fundamentally a dumb way of moving documents around. It makes no frickin' sense. And we're going to be doing a lot of that. Solid is a way to make that sensical, to make that work, to make that scale. And I think we're learning in this pandemic, remote document signing, attestation, verifying is becoming way more important.
There's tons of material actually available. It's just not on the website. So what we've done is we've created, cue magic please, we've created a QR code. Hopefully it comes up. There you go. If you scan the QR code...
This is the largest QR code in human history.
So if you scan the QR code, it will take you to a landing page pertinent to this audience, where thereafter we'd be delighted to send you all the material you want. We got videos, technical docs, the full 9 yards, as they say.
All right, they want us to get off stage.
Yeah, we got to go. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for inviting me to Ireland. It's nice to be here. It's nice to see actual human beings.